guys, it's Leanne. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, big welcome. If you're not new, then of course, welcome back, and thank you so much for returning to watch me. And also, hopefully that means you are subscribed by now. Which, can I just remind everyone before we jump into this week's Foundation Friday, can you please subscribe to my channel on YouTube and please follow me over on Instagram, which I will leave on screen. But yes, today's tutorial / review is just a Foundation Friday on the L'Oreal Paris Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. So if you would like to see my thoughts and opinions and wear test on this foundation, then please keep on watching. And my shade is the linen shade, which is number 100. I have tried it before about a year ago or so, but I've never went back to use it for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. I didn't like it, I didn't dislike it, I was just a bit in the middle. I can't remember much about it, to be honest, so this is almost like a first impression. I'm just going to be reading out some of the claims that this foundation makes, and the online description. It says that this foundation is full coverage, transfer proof and waterproof. A little goes a long way, and it's a lightweight formula, as well as a long wear formula that lasts up to 24 hours. Now, although it says here 24-hour fresh wear, online it actually says up to 24 hours, so it can last up to 24 hours. It's also available in 26 shades, which is a reasonable number of shades, I think, anyway. I've already primed the face, so now I'm just going to go straight in and apply this foundation. Now, I'm going to be applying this just to my little plastic palette, and that is just to make sure that I waste as little product as possible. Look how runny that foundation is. Very liquidy. So what I'll do now is just take a Real Techniques pointed foundation brush, and I'll just apply this to my primed face. I'm just going to be going in now with the Morphe M439 brush, and I'm just going to be buffing this into the skin. Now, this foundation definitely does have a smell. It's not a bad smell, but it reminds me of like a chemical type of smell. But yeah, it's not a bad smell, it's not super overwhelming. But yeah, it does have a smell, so if people don't like that, then that's just something to watch out for. So the foundation's applying quite nicely to the skin. It's blending quite nicely, and it does seem to be quite full coverage. It's not the most full coverage foundation I've ever used, but it has given me, just off one layer, a very good coverage. I'm going to go in on the nose to cover these freckles. And applying foundation with a brush will give you a more full coverage than applying with a beauty blender. So I'm just putting a little bit extra on the areas where I need a little bit of extra coverage. So I'm going to be going in now with the Juno & Co sponge, and this is just to make sure that my skin looks as airbrushed as possible. So I'm just going to give you a closer look. On the nose, I can still see freckles peeking through, so I'm just going to take about 2 more pumps of this foundation on the palette, and I'm just going to apply quite a bit more to the nose area, and I'm going to do the neck as well. And can I just add that I love this brush for blending foundation. It's a really quick way to blend foundation out. So I'm just going to be taking the remainder of the product and just putting a little bit on the cheeks, over the lips, because I sometimes get spots here and blemishes because I pick the spots, which I shouldn't do. I'm not recommending. So yeah, I'm just using the rest of the product. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go and do the rest of the makeup off camera, and then I will return to check in a few hours and give you some updates and my opinions on this foundation. So straight away I'm just noticing that on the online description it said that a little goes a long way. Well, I've actually used about like 5 pumps or so, maybe 6 pumps, I'm not sure. And I don't think I agree that a little goes a long way. I do think you need quite a bit of this foundation to build it up to full coverage. But yeah, that's one claim I don't agree with so far. But it's definitely buildable to full coverage, is what I'd say up to now. So I've just done all of my face products off camera, as you can probably see. The foundation so far, I've had it on the skin now for about 2 hours or so. And so far I am really, really loving this foundation. So I'm just going to give you some little updates 2 hours post application. So straight away I can just tell everyone that this foundation is not settling into any fine lines or creases. So normally if foundations settle into creases on my skin, it's normally on the forehead, this little frown line here, but I'm not sure if everyone can see that, but it's really not settling in at all. It's a really, really nice foundation, I'd say, for a more mature skin as well, because obviously more mature skin has more fine lines and wrinkles naturally. So the fact that this foundation is not actually sitting in any of my fine lines on the forehead, then that normally would mean it's pretty good for an older skin as well. So far I am very, very impressed. Another thing that I've noticed is that this foundation does dry down. I didn't notice that it was tacky on the skin, so it's a foundation that you maybe don't need to set all over with face powder. So that's another bonus, as that's an extra step in makeup with some foundations that you do have to do if the foundation's tacky, but this foundation does seem to dry down, so I'm quite impressed with that side of it as well. And I think it just looks nice. Other products blended on top very well. There's no patchiness, no cakiness. It looks very glowy and radiant. But I'm going to do a check-in in about another 4 hours or so, and then we'll see if there's any difference then. So it's been about 7 or so hours now that I've had this foundation on, and literally it is flawless. Everything that I said earlier about how it doesn't cake, it doesn't sit in any fine lines, it doesn't have any patchiness, that all still stands. So I've had this on my skin now for about roughly 9 hours, and there's literally not one thing that I could say really negative about it, apart from the fact that L'Oreal do test on animals. That is the only negative thing I have to say. So in that case, I would definitely recommend this foundation. I sometimes have enlarged pores just around the cheek area, but this foundation does not seem to be emphasising pores. However, I did use the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer underneath, so maybe that has something to do with it, I'm not sure. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial. PS, don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram, which I will leave on screen.